You know you've done well when the guy that you're about to interview is a legend, an icon in the music business. And as he's sitting in his comfortable chair, he's rocking back and forth to the theme song to your show. Pretty catchy, huh, Bruce?
That was great. I loved the little animated drawing and very
That,
cool.
that was done by a friend of mine. It was kind of interesting when we put the show open together. Done by a friend of mine who's in New Jersey, and he is a prolific illustrator. And at the time, I was saying, a couple of years ago, we want to redesign the open and the logo. We want to have new theme music. What do you think? He said, well, retro is in right now. I said, it is. He said, yeah. So I'll design something sort of retro, this logo. And then if you have music, which we do have that theme song, we'll sort of put it together. And what it was the two elements are separate. The element where you see the sketching of the Jim Master show and the genie bottle and all of that, which we actually have over here. There's the I Dream a Genie bottle. So it plays off that. That was a separate element they had made for me. And then I said, we kind of need the logo. So we designed that fantastic logo and we blended it with the music. He said, but the thing is, I'm an illustrator, not an animator. So I said, oh, well, we would love it to sort of jump, at you, come off the screen, jump at you, and there it is, and to sort of play off the beat of the music. He said, well, I'm not an animator, Jim, but my daughter is, and she was about 21, 22 years old. And at that time, she was doing work for The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, animation for him. He was working on some cover art for Aerosmith at the time. He does that kind of work and some updated Betty Boop animations or illustrations. He said, I'll see if my daughter can take the logo and make it bounce and come to life with the beat of the theme song. So he was able to have her do that. And we got the family and friends rate. Otherwise, it would have been a mortgaging of the house or something, which was kind of him. And that became the whole thing. So the retro bit is in. And retro.
Yeah, works really well. Works really well.
Well, I really appreciate that. And I'll definitely say
retro. I have retro in my genes. I am, the embodiment of retro. In a sense, the thing is, you have to keep trying to stay engaged and learning new tricks and keep pushing the ball forward, but in my collaborations, I always try to collaborate with, somebody who, a younger kind of in the moment kind of person, because what I discovered is that perception of what is cool is a moving target, and something that, for me, who has seen many iterations of all kinds of things, to somebody who is younger and has a different perspective on things, sees it differently. So a lot of things that I'm like, no, that's not so cool. They're like, no, that is definitely dope. And I'm like, okay, really? Okay. But, and conversely, when, in mixing tracks and I find it very interesting into how a younger producer will, what elements they'll use and how they'll use those elements. And, yeah, I don't know where I'm going, but
no, it's terrific.
retro.
Taking retro and younger and blending it together, and you get magic. I do want to let folks know that we're talking to a legendary person in the music industry who has been a part of, co-written some of the most iconic songs that we've all heard on the radio, songs that you hear streaming now, songs that have been on television and in movies and so much more. And he also was married to one of the most beloved figures in music, the beautiful, effervescent, and iconic Donna Summer.
But
Yeah.
Donna is a legend. That's a
Uh,
legend,
oh
and
yeah.
Aretha's a legend. Bob Dylan's a legend.
Yes. Roberta
Springsteen
Flack
is a
and
legend. Roberta Flack is a legend.
Ronnie
These
Spector. And yeah,
Ronnie Spector, yeah, these are legends, and in many ways originators of what they did,
that's right.
and so yeah,
You're a legend to us tonight.
yeah, well, I'm still in there swinging the bat.
You
That's
are. Yes,
I'm
you
still in there
are.
swinging the bat,
You
and
got new music out, the whole bit. But,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
growing up back in Brooklyn, it was amazing because you sort of developed a reputation in the community really early as a talented musician. You got your first paid gig, what, around the age of 12?
yeah.
Wow.
Completely by accident. I was a reluctant accordion player, and somebody needed an accordion guy, and I
Yeah.
got the call, and so yeah, it was an interesting gig. I think we played a Sweet 16 or a bar mitzvah. I don't know what it was, but it was me on accordion, a jazz guitarist, and a trumpet guy. So I have no idea what we sounded like.
You sounded,
I don't know if there was ever rehearsal made. There might have been. I don't remember. But
but you
what I
learned
do
accordion at
remember.
4.
Say it again.
You learned accordion at age of 4.
Well, that's when I started taking lessons. Uh, and as I say, reluctantly, I wasn't a willing candidate, for lack of a better word. But it was kind of like my Italian grandfather brought the accordion back from Italy, and so there it was, plopped in my lap. But it goes to show, as I look back on my life, there. I believe that we all have a calling and a road we are to walk down. So the music thing for me, destiny kind of laid it out in my lap, and I just kept walking down that road.
Yes, you
And so,
did. He's coming to.
yeah,
We're on the East Coast here in the New York area, everybody, but he's coming from Los Angeles right now, and through some of the biggest influences and experiences, memories, singer, songwriter, music producer extraordinaire Bruce Sudano, he shares his stories of love and heartache, struggle, and spirituality by way of song, and he has done that, as he mentioned, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and Flatbush, and you
yeah,
found yourself sort of escaping the walls and confines of the home to be with music outside, right? It was a way to get out, express, and connect with people.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I was I was a kid who would sit. I lived on Avenue I, which was in Flatbush, one block away from the junction, which is where the last stop of the IRT subway was. So I remember being really young and sitting on the stoop of my house and watching all the people coming home from work day after day, month after month, year after year, and I was like, no, I don't want that to be me. There's got to be some other thing. So, from early on, and I think it's a common, motivator for many people who get launched into the arts is this need or to escape from wherever they are for whatever reason that is. So music became my escape. The thing about having that gig at 12 years old, I think the initial reaction was the $20 I made at the end of the night, and it was like, okay, I can make a little bit of money doing this. So that was the initial motivation. But then also as a kid, I went to the Brooklyn Fox and saw these great, Alan Freed, Murray the K shows, and all these singing groups and entertainers, Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis and the Impalas, the vocal groups. So this was all very inspiring for me as a young kid, and I kind of knew early on what I wanted to do. And my father had a jukebox route at some point when I was a kid.
Your father, Lewis?
Yeah, yeah. He had a jukebox route, and he would come home at the end of the week with a couple of boxes of 45s, I was a kid, grew up on the radio and the transistor radio, like everybody of my generation, but I got intrigued by the two names under two or three or one name in parentheses under the song title, which were the songwriter or the songwriters, and that's where I saw my place in the world of music, and that was my dream, to be a songwriter.
Which is a beautiful dream to have that you've expressed so incredibly all these years. Matter of fact, early on, as you went along, you created the group Alive and Kickin'.
Yeah.
And there was, of course, that fantastic song, Tighter and Tighter, very, very
Yes.
popular. And then came along Brooklyn Dreams. And
Yeah.
of course, another great song, Music, Harmony, and Rhythm. People may
Uh,
remember all this. This is bringing back some cool memories. And as a matter of fact, song in American Hot Wax as well. And then along the way, Donna Summer. And how did you guys meet? How did that happen, that meeting of the two of you?
we met at a friend. Left New York in 1976, moved to LA, formed Brooklyn Dreams with my brothers Joe B. and Esposito and Eddie Hoganson. um, uh, we got our record deal with signed by Jimmy Einer to Millennium Records, and we were going to move back east to record the album, and gave up our apartments here. And just as we were ready to go back east, they said, "No, you're actually going to record on the West Coast." So we had a friend whose name was Susan Mineo, another girl from Brooklyn, who was the director of publicity at Casablanca Records. So we called her up and said, "Hey, could we crash at your place for a few days until we get our new apartments out in Irvine, California, where Brooklyn Dreams recorded our first album?" And on that one of the days that we were there at Susan's, Donna showed up, and it was in March of 1977, and the Brooklyn Dreams and Donna became great friends and started writing songs right away, and that's kind of how it happened.
The magic
Yeah,
was made from there. There's somebody else
yeah,
too that came into your life who is a great friend. I've interviewed him multiple times on PBS, and he was a guest on our show, the incomparable Tommy James. And
yeah.
you had an opportunity to cross paths with Tommy and make some great music while performing at the Cheetah. You met Tommy James and Tommy James at the Chandels, and you sort of became his protege, right?
Well, I don't know that he would call me his protege, but I refer I refer to him as my mentor. He
Yeah.
was the one who opened the door for me into the record business. Really,
Yeah.
uh, before Tommy, I was a kid in Brooklyn who put bands together, and we worked a lot of clubs around the tri-state area, to the point where we became the house band. The group Alive and Kickin' became the house band at this club in Manhattan called Cheetah. It's where Tommy first saw the band. Coincidentally, he was living at the time around the corner. And, in between sets and before we went on, and whenever I could, I would go over to Tommy's apartment, and he was kind enough to allow me to try and write songs with him. I mean, he was at the height of his career, or just approaching the height. You know, it was after Moni Moni, just before Crimson and
Hmm.
Clover, and he was just gracious. You know, he took me into the studio, into Allegro recording studio in 1650 Broadway. I had never been in a real recording studio before. You know, in those days, you know, it wasn't like now when you had everything to record on. In those days, you know, when I wrote a song, I would have to ingrain it into my memory. You know, I'd
Hmm.
be in the basement plowing it out with my father stomping on the floor at 3 o'clock in the morning to get me to shut up, you know, but
Yeah.
it was the only way I could remember what I wrote. You know, I had nothing to record on.
Right.
But anyway, Tommy was great. He was gracious. So such a talented guy, such a generous guy. I can't say enough good things about him. And you know, I don't understand how he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
I mean, when you have records like, I mean, Hanky Panky is a rock and roll song. You know, Moni Moni is a rock and roll song. I understand they're pop songs. You know, Crimson and Clover. You know, I mean, that's a masterpiece. Crystal Blue Persuasion. You know, he is a unique talent who made interesting records, and somehow he gets overlooked. And you know. But you know, he doesn't complain. That's the other thing about Tommy. He's also a very humble man, and you know, he just keeps doing what he does, working hard till this very day.
Right.
And but you know, he was the guy that opened the door for me and showed me the way. You know, he
He's one of the
was
good guys. Yeah, he
yeah.
really is.
And he was the reason Alive and Kicking got signed to Roulette. You know,
Hmm.
my first record deal. He wrote and produced our first and you know hit song "Tighter and
Ball of
Tighter."
Fire. No, Ball of Fire too.
Ball of
69,
Fire
right?
was yeah, Ball of Fire was the song that I co-wrote with him, which was
Yeah.
actually before Tighter and Tighter.
Right.
But Alive and Kicking's big hit song "Tighter and Tighter" was written and produced by Tommy. You know,
Number
and
7 on Billboard too.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was a big hit, and you know it was it was the first opportunity for me to get on a plane and come to Los Angeles. You know, back in 1970, we shot the Alive and Kicking album cover in out in Malibu in the Pacific Ocean, uh, and began my romance with you know California and so you know have a lot of you know nothing but good things and gratitude for Tommy.
You also did a terrific promotional tour in the United States as the opening act for Chicago, and also Frank Zappa as Alive and Kickin', right?
Yeah, we did a bunch of shows opening for Mothers of Invention and Chicago. I shouldn't say a bunch of shows. You know, I honestly don't remember how many shows it was. Um, uh, but there were those shows for sure. And I remember we played the Steel Pier. You know, I remember. But the big thing was we got to play the Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden with Eric Burden and War. And I remember that because that was the night that they brought us the gold record for Tighter Tighter.
Yeah, right. Which was really something really special, Tighter and Tighter. And then
Yeah.
Brooklyn Dreams came along. How did you come up with Brooklyn Dreams?
Well, you know, after Tighter and Tighter, Alive and Kickin' put out a few other singles that charted but could never break the way Tighter Tighter did. And 2 years on into that, I was feeling antsy, and the band we hit a stall mode kind of, and so I left the band and moved back into the basement of my parents' house in Brooklyn and really decided I to hone in on developing my songwriting ability. And so I spent the next couple of years doing that in the basement there, piano, guitar. You know, I had one of these old fashioned record players, you know, like it was a cabinet with speakers built in I listened a lot. I learned a lot. I read a lot, and through that time, although I had known Joe Bean and Eddie for years before, Alive and Kicking, they came from out of a vocal group, and there were points in time when Alive and Kicking would back up their vocal group. But at this time, Eddie and Joe had a trio where Eddie played drums, Joe played guitar, and Eddie's brother Louie was on bass. And there I was, without a job, without a band, just in my mother's basement writing songs. And they were like, Bruce, we got to get you out of the house. Come and join the band. Come and play with us. So I joined up with them and played a little keyboard, played guitar with them, and did that for a few years while I was writing songs. Then at 1976, we wound up, the three of us, out here in Los Angeles. Um, and Susan, the girl that I mentioned earlier, who worked at Casablanca Records, who grew up with us in Brooklyn, said to us, you guys are out here separately, all doing your separate thing. Why don't you put something together? And we said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. We did that. But a number of the songs that I had been writing in the basement of my mother's house were the songs that became got us the record deal and became a big part of the first Brooklyn Dreams album.
Absolutely. And as you're writing those songs together with Donna Summer, it was incredible. As you guys were dating, you penned "Take It to the Zoo," and that one just boom knocked it out of the park. So many incredible songs. If you look back at it all, gang, "Heaven Knows" is another one too that was a fantastic hit.
Yeah,
You guys wrote "Lucky," which was another fantastic one. I mean,
yeah,
these
yeah,
are all bad girls. I mean, you can also, as soon
yeah,
as you even say the name, you can hear her singing it.
yeah.
"On My Honor." Yeah,
Jim, do you
yeah.
know that I'm? Did you know that I'm the cop on the cover of the Bad Girls album?
Oh, is that you? Is really
Yep.
that I didn't know.
Yeah,
Ah, that's
yeah,
cool, huh?
yeah. I guess I don't know how it happened, but there it is. Um, so it's funny that you bring up "Take It to the Zoo" because "Take It
Yeah.
to the Zoo." Um, the story behind that title is that you can't even tell the story actually anymore because, but anyway, in the movie Rocky, this was the same year that the movie Rocky came out. and there and Rocky's girlfriend was Adrian, and Donna's middle name was Adrian. So whenever we were out uh, in public, I would always call Donna Adrian. I would say, Adrian, yo, Adrian, come, whatever, because I didn't want to call her Donna because that would attract attention and people would recognize her and all this. So I always called her Adrian. So then, but in the Rocky movie, there's a line that, if I get it right, where Stallone says, "Hey, take her to the zoo. Retards like the zoo." So you
Yep.
can't say retards anymore. But anyway, that was
Right.
the line in the movie.
Right.
So that's where we got the title, "Take It to the Zoo," and
It's incredible. Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. With American Hot Wax too, you guys were the Planetones, right?
We were the Planetones, along with Kenny Vance.
Right.
It was Kenny who called us in on that project. Um, we formed a group called the Planetones. It was Professor Laplano and the Planetones. And I think we sang "Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay," and then we did another song in the studio with Richard Perry. I forget the character's name he was playing in the movie, but it was Richard Perry, and we were singing a doo-wop song called "Come Come Go with Me," and that was a great experience. We were on the set for about 3 months. got to meet Jerry Lee Lewis and
Mm.
Chuck Berry, and it was a great cast. Jay Leno, Lorraine Newman was on there.
Oh, yeah.
Brenda Russell, we met then. She is,
Oh, she's amazing. She was just with
you
us
know,
with Melba Moore. They
yeah,
are
she's
amazing.
been a lifelong friend since then.
Yes, she's incredible.
And so yeah, it was just a great time. A great time of bonding with a lot of different people. So it was a great band. Ira Newborn ran the band. Paul Griffin was on keyboards. It was just it was a magical moment at American Hot Wax. And every now and then, every couple of years, we'll go back and take a look at that movie and reminisce a little bit.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Also too, scoring a number 5 hit with everybody together with Heaven Knows, huh?
well, yeah, that was a bit of good fortune.
Yeah.
We were um, you know on tour with Donna at the time, and so you know I have to stop saying I say it too often. Anyway, we on the first Brooklyn Dreams album, Donna came out and sang background on a song on the first Brooklyn Dreams album, a song called "Old Fashioned Girl." And so then around that time, she was recording her album called "I Remember Yesterday," and the Dreams went in and sang background on that track for her album. And so between recording together and being on tour together, this situation came up where it called for a voice like Joe Bean and some harmonies like the Brooklyn Dreams, and went in. Joe did an amazing vocal. And Joe and Donna sounded so great together, and it's a great track written by Giorgio, Pete, and Donna, and somehow it became a hit record.
It's really incredible. Also, too, that modest hit, as I mentioned, with music, harmony, and rhythm, which you performed with Dick Clark's American Bandstand, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good old Dick Clark.
Yeah. Good. Well, it's funny because that was my second time on American Bandstand. First time was with Alive and Kicking in 1970. And so that all those years later, to be able to go back on American Bandstand again was a good treat. I remember I think we were on a couple of times. And I think the first time that we went on as Brooklyn Dreams, Donna hosted the show. And as fate would have it, the only person to ever host American Bandstand other than Dick Clark was Donna Summer.
It was Donna Summer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes total sense. Heaven knows, that song peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a certified million selling gold single in 1979.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you look back at that, huh? And then Brooklyn Dreams
Yeah.
and Donna, you guys wrote the title track Bad Girls for the best-selling album of Donna's career, Bad Girls, which again, that song, you still hear that all over the place. Bad Girls. It's just got a great, vibe and rhythm, and it's one of those great songs. And now that we know that you're that cop,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, well, it's a beautiful album cover,
it,
and
it
not only the
really
cover, the
is.
whole
Yeah,
layout.
the whole thing.
When you open it out, Donna had this whole fantasy, and so there are pictures on the inside of, you know, all of us, the Dreams, Susan Mineo, who I mentioned earlier, the girl from Brooklyn, and all, Donna's hairdressers in there. There's just a bunch of us in all these street scene photos on the inner sleeve of Bad Girls. So. But yeah,
Yeah.
Bad Girls was a great song. It was, it was a song that we wrote. Another friend of ours, Bob Inky and Corvia, also from Brooklyn, came out to LA and built a studio in Burbank. It was called Magic Wand. And so we would we would call him up. I would be with Donna and Joe and Eddie, and it could be midnight, and we'd say, "Let's go in the studio and write." So I would call Bobby up and I go, "Yo, Inky, can we come in now?" And he goes, "Okay, I'll meet you there." So he would meet us in the studio at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever the time was, and we would set up mics around the room so that I would have a mic, Joe would have a mic, Donna would have a mic, and Eddie would have a mic. And typically, Joe and I would be on guitars, Eddie would be playing some percussion, and we would just jam. Inky would roll the 2-track machine, and we would just idea after idea after idea and just record them on 2-track. And then the second engineer who was on the Bad Girls project was cataloging what was on the tape and said to us, there's this song idea you have on there, Bad Girls. It's a really good idea. So we went back, listened to it, and then Donna and I went in and re-demoed Bad Girls. And that with demo, she took it up to Neil Bogart, who's the president of Casablanca, and said, "Neil, I got the song. I really like it." And he wanted to give it to Cher. He said, "I just signed Cher. It would be a great song for Cher." Um, Donna said, "No." Um, then brought it to Giorgio. And Giorgio and Pete loved it. And they took our demo and just, took the demo from 5 to 10 and made a great record of it. You know, Great sounding record. Jürgen Kopper's the engineer, was a great engineer. Great. You listen to that Bad Girls album, all of Donna's records, they just sound so right. You know, so right. So
Hmm.
that's that story.
Lucky another one too, right?
Yeah, Lucky was Lucky is a song that kind of flew under the radar for a long time, and over time, that song has continued to uh, grow and grow in terms of popularity, and people. It gets placement in different movies and things like that, and it's a pretty cool song. Yeah.
So many of them. The catalog is extensive. On My Honor was another great one too.
Yeah, on my honor. By this point, Donna and I were in a relationship, and it's only recently that I've looked back at the songs on the Bad Girls album and come to understand how much of our early relationship was written into that record, and on my honor is a prime example of that of us both writing a song where we're, committing to try, you know,
Exactly.
promising to try, you
Yeah.
know.
There's
So
so many incredible songs, like we're mentioning, Lucky on My Honor, as well as Can't Get to Sleep at Night with Bob Conti, who was a legendary, figure in the
yeah,
industry. Yeah.
Bob, I just played out here in LA last week, and Bob, he's an amazing percussionist. He played percussion for Donna for years, and then subsequently for many years for Jose Feliciano, and so I was doing a gig out here, and I said, "Do you want to come and play?" He's like, "With bells on." So he
Mhm.
showed up, and we had a great night, and it was really nice because I hadn't played LA in a while, and so many people showed up who I hadn't seen in a long time. And one of the people that showed up is Nellie Prestwood. And Nellie Prestwood was a girl that worked at Casablanca, also in the publicity department. And she was the one who got Donna on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Mhm.
Because back in those days, it was very difficult to be a black person on the cover of Rolling Stone, let alone a woman. And so that was a very important moment in time and a very big get at the time. And it was Nellie Presswood who pulled that off. And so it was really nice to see her last week at the show.
That's fantastic. Then you wrote I'm a Rainbow with title track to Donna's next album, but it was sort of put a shelves for a bit and didn't get released till about 1996, right?
Yeah. I'm a Rainbow. Um, it was a song that I wrote, uh, about myself, honestly. But when Donna heard the song, she loved it immediately. I wrote it in our house on the piano in the house, and so she heard it so many times, as would be with many of my songs. But she just loved that one and totally related the lyric to it, to herself. She saw herself as a rainbow as well, and it probably even applied to her more than me in many ways. Uh, but the album was ill-fated in that it was the last album that Donna worked on with Giorgio and Pete. Up until that point, all of her albums were produced by Pete Bellotti and Giorgio Moroder, and it was in the process of that album. Uh, at this point in time, Donna she had become the first artist signed to Geffen Records after a prolonged legal battle with Casablanca to become free. Uh, and David Geffen decided he didn't want this On the Rainbow record. So the record got, I always say that it was 70% of the way there. I think that, there was more work to do on it. And he kind of cut it short. And Donna went on to make her next record with Quincy Jones. Uh,
Hmm.
so the record didn't come out at that time, and it came out in '96. In again, it probably wasn't a finished work. I don't know that it would have ended up being a double album. I think that, I don't know what I think, but I'm a Rainbow is the title. I'm a Rainbow is one of my favorite songs. It was one of Donna's favorite songs, and for me as a songwriter, it's, every songwriter has, a couple of songs that they write that just kind of appear, and I'm a Rainbow is that song for me, or one of those songs for me.
We did a fantastic celebrity filled tribute special to Quincy Jones upon his passing, and Melba Moore, Brenda Russell, and a lot of others came on to talk about and share their memories of Quincy and what it was like to work with, and the memories and the music they made. Uh, what would you say about the importance, influence of Quincy Jones in music, in humanity, and having had an opportunity to work with him?
He was just a special guy. And he had an amazing energy of who he was, and such a smart mind, and he had such a great ability to recognize talent, to recognize a great song, to navigate the energy of the room, and to bring the right elements together to create something special. um, and he's just always so kind to me. My reflection, and this is the story I like to say about Quincy as it relates to me, because I was married to Donna for 32 years. So when I Donna and I got together, my record company was saying to me, Bruce, don't do it. You're going to ruin your career. You're going to be in her shadow. It's not good for your career. So, be that as it may, throughout the course of my life, Donna was such a bright light, and so many people would relate to me through Donna. Quincy never did that. He always related to me,
As
as the
you.
artist that I am, understanding who I was, understanding my gifts and talents, and um, so that's the kind of guy he was. He saw everybody for who they are, and he just was a beautiful man. A
He
special
was.
guy. And
Absolutely.
what a life and what a career.
Unreal.
His children are beautiful. I remember. There's a place out here called Cafe Gratitude. And it's like it's a vegan place, and there was a moment in time when Donna first got sick. That we were going to Cafe Gratitude a lot because she was trying to eat better, and I remember we ran into Peggy Lipton there, Quincy's wife, one of Quincy's wives,
Mod
there a lot.
Squad. Yeah.
Yeah, and such a sweet woman, and yeah, so
Hmm. Yeah, really amazing. He really left his indelible mark on music and just
yeah,
society. We are the world. I mean, that was iconic, and everything
yeah,
else. You guys, as Brooklyn Dreams, continued to record three more studio albums. You had Sleepless Nights and Joyride, and then in '80, you made that fourth and final album, Won't Let Go, that you guys produced yourselves. Tell us
yeah,
about that particular album and the importance of that one, Won't Let Go.
yeah. Well, by this time, Casablanca was running out of gas. Neil Bogart was gone. Bruce Bird, who used to be the head of promotion, had become the head of the label. Disco was kind of peaking in terms of the form it was then. Uh, and so this last record we produced ourselves. We we went into Magic Wand, the studio that I mentioned earlier, with our friend Bob Inky and Corbier. Bobby engineered the record, um, and we made this record. And it's it's a good record, good songs, and but it was the last Brooklyn Dream album, and at that point, Eddie decided to move back to Brooklyn, and I got signed to Millennium again as a solo artist, and the following year, 1980, I did a record for them called "The Fugitive Kind," and
Hmm.
it became my first solo album, and yeah,
How cool is
and on
that,
that
huh?
record with the song, yeah, that was great. And there was I had success with a song called "Starting Over Again" for Dolly Parton, which is a song Donna and I co-wrote, and I did a version of that on that album as well. So,
Hmm. There it is, starting over
oh yeah,
again. That was a
look at
great,
that.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and you have, for folks that are watching, you have worked with some of the greats, other quote unquote legends, Michael Jackson, Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire as well. Um, Did you ever have a pinch me moment and look back and say, wow, this kid from Brooklyn, I didn't give in or give up. I got out of the basement, started with the accordion, and boom, look at what has happened. Could you ever imagine all that has happened in your life? And how did growing up in Brooklyn? There's something in the water in Brooklyn and New York. There's so much that has come out of that area. Um, how has growing up in Brooklyn, New York, shaped you and shaped what came afterwards as far as your career and your life?
Well, being from Brooklyn is the core of who I am. I grew up in a very middle class neighborhood, and there's just something about I believe that places have their own spirit, and I definitely think that Brooklyn has a spirit about it, and I think calling even the title Brooklyn Dreams. I think that Brooklyn is a place of dreams, and how I analyze it is that I look at it this way. It's like Brooklyn. Back in the day, not so much now. It was a pretty middle class world, and but right across the bridge you had the city, and in the city everything was possible. And so I think that proximity to Manhattan uh, and enabled you to have a dream and believe that wherever the dream was, it was not that far away to go to make that dream possible. And so, in Brooklyn, you could have a plumber living next door to a brain surgeon. It's just that kind of mix of all kinds of people, and people who communicate with each other, who all different walks of life, but it's one on one, and it's human, and it's down to earth and straight ahead. And those Brooklyn elements have stayed with me my whole life. And look, one of my daughters is named Brooklyn, so I have a big appreciation for Brooklyn, and I think it's a great
Yeah,
place.
absolutely. Again, a lot of people have come out of there, and it's incredible. My father grew up in the city, but in Astoria, and there was a lot that came out of there. Just within 2 blocks away from Tony Bennett, and
Yeah,
same thing. You had wonderful Astoria, and then there was Manhattan right across
yep,
Triborough Bridge. You had
yep,
everything right there. He grew
yep.
up a Brooklyn Dodger fan. I don't know if you have
Oh,
that in your family, but he diehard Brooklyn Dodger fan. And then when they went west, um, a lot of them didn't go with the Yankees. They went with the New York Mets. So
yeah,
we went to Yankee and Shea Stadium. We would do all of that, but we grew up leaning Mets because of
yeah,
the Brooklyn Dodgers and then the
yeah,
Mets as well. You must
yeah.
have had several Dodgers fans in your family there in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think I only went to Ebbets Field one time when I was a kid. Uh, but yeah, Brooklyn always leaned Mets and Jets. Um, and certainly the '69 Mets left an indelible mark in sports, and then again, I think in '86. I remember. In '86 specifically, I remember um, uh, we used to have a ranch out in Thousand Oaks, and I built a recording studio in one of the barns. And Joe Bean Esposito and I got signed to EMI Records right around that time. And a friend, a friend of mine, Michael O'Mardian, who's an amazing producer. Michael O'Mardian produced She Works Hard for the Money. He produced Sailing, Christopher Cross, Ride Like the Wind. Anyway, Michael and I did a lot of co-writing together for Jermaine Jackson and the Jacksons and whatever.
Yeah.
So Joe and I got this record deal, and Michael was producing us, and we were in this barn studio that I had built with a big TV, recording this album for the '86 Mets. And I just vividly remember recording that album. the album went on to be called Joe Bruce and Second Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
uh, but a great time watching that series of the '86 Mets. I think that was that the Bill Buckner
Bill
day?
Buckner, Red Sox.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Did you did you delve also, because I know a lot of people through the years delved in and out of the world of jingles and commercial music, things of that nature, commercials and soundtracks, other types of things. Did you
no,
dabble in and out of
I never did
jingles? And
jingles. I never did I never did jingles. I never did any commercials. Uh, the most that I ever did along that line was some songs for movies and some TV movies and stuff. But I never got into the jingle world.
you mentioned Michael Marty and Jermaine and Michael Jackson. You guys wrote "Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming, Too Good to Be True" with the guys. And that was the song as a duet for the album Jermaine Jackson. And the track was nominated in the 1985 Grammy Awards for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with vocals. And then it was covered by Robert Palmer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Palmer. That was just a nice treat, because "Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming" is an interesting song. It's not your typical song in any obvious way. It doesn't have like a real big chorus and how I would write with Michael in those days generally or frequently is he would send me a track, and I would, you know, try and come up with the lyrics, and and uh and "Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming" is a tricky one because it had this toot 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 kind of melody, and I remember I got together with Jay Gruska, another very good songwriter, and we came up with the lyrics for that, and the doo 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 became "Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming." So
That's so
it worked out
cool.
well. Yeah, and it was supposed to be a Jermaine track. The fact that Michael wound up on that song was really because Michael heard it and liked it, and said, "Can I do a duet with you on this song?" And that's how it happened. But but it also became. Um, it was done without permission. So Jermaine was on one label, Michael was on another. Jermaine was on Arista, Michael was on Epic. And once the people at Epic found out about this, they put a cease and desist on the record. So the record like made it to the top of the R&B charts and made it to the top of the dance charts. And just that was as it was starting to break in the pop world, uh,
It
they
was
cut
no
the cord
longer
on
epic.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut the cord on it, so it
Mm,
it was short lived.
mm.
But yeah, it was a great experience. It's a great track, and another fortuitous situation,
During that
So
same time, you wrote four additional songs with Donna Summer. She Works Hard for the Money, another fantastic song. You hear it all the time. I mean, you can hear it, and the instrumentation, the arrangement, it's just terrific. It
yeah,
gets you moving. It makes you feel good. That was for the album in '86. You co-wrote "Closest Thing to Perfect," the title track for the John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis film
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tell us first about She Works Hard for the Money. I mean, that is such a
Well, she,
classic.
she she works hard for the money. It was written by Donna and Michael Amardian. Michael produced it, so all that grooviness in the track is all Michael. Uh, the story's been told many times about how Donna, went into the ladies' room at Chasen's, and there was this woman, a bathroom attendant asleep in the corner, and Donna looked at her and said, "Wow, she works hard for the money," and got that idea in her head and went in the studio, with Michael and said, I got this title, and they started working on it and came up with it. And it's a great one.
Almost like
It's
an
a
anthem too.
I was just going to
Yeah.
say it's an anthem for the women's movement, and just like Donna, she had a way of just reaching into the moment and being so aligned with she was such a powerful woman and such a graceful person at the same time, so it's only fitting that she would write that song, and yeah, and it was good album. I think I wrote a song on there called "Love Has a Mind of Its Own," which was a duet, and this was a funny story in that uh, you know records being made. Uh, Donna's going in to sing the song. It was my job to write the lyric, and right about the time that she had to sing the song, we had a fight. Whatever a husband and wife at that point we were would fight about, and so it kind of worked perfectly because it gave me it gave me the story to write the song about, and it gave Donna the point of view and the heart to be able to sing that song. So, there was that, and then there's another song called Tokyo that I co-wrote
Mhm.
on that record, which is kind of a cool one. I like that one a lot. And the fourth one I'm drawing a blank on, but oh yeah, it's called Woman.
Mhm.
Woman. And yeah, so yeah, closest thing to perfect. I'll tell you that story. That's a good one actually.
They're
So
all great, Bruce. We're loving it.
here
By
we
the time
are.
we're done with our conversation, you will be a legend.
Oh boy,
You were
but
born a legend. You were born in Brooklyn.
that's it.
Yeah.
So closest thing to perfect, Michael or Martin calls me up and he goes like, "Oh, I think we're gonna get to be able to write this song for this movie, and it's John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're both at the top of their career, and it's like the hype on this movie's on the moon, and we're like, wow, okay, this is gonna be big, so." We write this song, Michael Germain and I think. And closest thing to perfect. It's rocking, do the video, it's a really funny video when you look at it now. It's so period, I think it's Jamie Lee in a gym working out, John Travolta and Jermaine's in the gym somehow. I don't know. But anyway, song gets done. It's the title track of the movie. Movie comes out. Biggest hype in the world. Biggest flop in the world. The movie just went like boom. It was a bomb. And it was like talk about perfect. We were like, that's perfect. So
Or as Jackie
but
Gleason would say, a bomb.
yeah, that's how it be sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a fun moment. Fun to look back on.
Yeah, so many of them too. I tell you, it's really extraordinary. I know when you're talking about it, sometimes like this is I'm Ralph Edwards and this is your life or something, but really, it's work that has reached into the hearts, minds, and souls of so many people. You and of course the incomparable Donna Summer, your lovely wife and collaborator and love of your life. I remember there's certain people in our lives when they're not with us, when you hear an announcement that somebody has passed on, there are people you think, you feel are always going to be with us. And I do remember the day when it came on the news, working in television and radio, the news came right into us when I heard that she had passed. And it was like there was a heartbeat skip. She was such a light, such a beautiful soul, and there was a poise and an elegance to her. She was, one of the big iconic figures in music, and so many people loving her, the fans, people in the industry, you, your daughters. Um, Tell us a little
Preach it,
something.
brother. Preach.
That's what it is, right?
That's
Um,
it.
Tell us what it was about Donna Summer you think that sort of captured all of us to where, when we heard that she passed, it was everything, the world stopped. We'd never thought that would happen. We thought she'd be with us forever. And just what it is about her that draws people continually to her as she did to you.
Well, she was an extraordinary person on many levels. She was a great talent. Obviously, her vocal ability, the tone of her voice, the control of her voice, her ability to absolutely own whatever genre she was in. Uh, you know, th- there are great singers in every genre, but Donna had the ability to be a great singer in any genre. So, she won a Grammy for rock and roll with Hot Stuff. She was a great rock and roll singer. I mean, you know, she was a great R&B singer. So if she sang an R&B song, it was as soulful as it could be. She had that high, beautiful falsetto voice that was just, it was angelic. There were opera singers who would come to Donna and say, she would fake singing opera and they would just be drooling. I mean, she just had a great gift as a singer. But put that aside, it's who she was as a person. It was her heart, it was her love, it was her empathy, it was her generosity, it was her sense of humor, it was her compassion for people. Though all of those gifts overrided her ability as a singer and a songwriter. And it's obvious how great a singer and a songwriter she was. So you can imagine when all these other elements about her, in my opinion, outweighed that, how amazing of a person she was. And it was that energy that drew people from every walk of life to embrace her and to feel connected to her. Uh, so, yeah, that's why your heart skipped a beat when you heard that news. So.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Beautifully said from the heart and soul, from the man who loved her most. And you have two beautiful daughters too, don't you?
I have three beautiful daughters.
Three.
I have Mimi. Mimi wasn't isn't my biological daughter, but she grew up in a household where we were three daughters.
Beautiful.
So yeah, Mimi, Brooklyn, and Amanda. I'm at Brooklyn's house recording this right now. Brooklyn is an actress. She's been on many TV shows, CSI, whatever, many over the last
She
15
was in the
years.
2023 documentary film Love to Love You, Donna Summer, right?
She co-directed that. Yeah, she
Yeah.
co-directed it. So that was her first directing debut, and she did an amazing job on the documentary. It's so
Yeah.
heartfelt and
Oh, yeah.
so
Yeah.
so much more than just a Wikipedia exercise, which so many documentaries are. So really
Yeah.
proud of her on that. My daughter Amanda is in a band in a group with her husband. They're called Johnny Swim. Their album just came out last week. Their latest album. It's called When the War Is Over. They were just on Jimmy Kimmel last week. Their new single is out. It's called I can't think of the title of the song, which is crazy because it's such a cool song. Anyway, the album's called When the War Is Over. It's a great record. Go check out the new Johnny Swim album.
Wow, daddy here.
Dopamine. Dopamine. That's the
Dopamine.
name of the.
Yes.
That's the name of the single.
You got to feel
So
really proud, huh? Of all of this.
Well, yeah, proud, but I'm grateful. I think that I'm grateful. It's the grace of God. I've done my best, you know, but I'm grateful. So yes, proud, but
Yeah.
more. I think grateful is more the word.
Blessed and
You know,
grateful and
yeah,
thankful.
absolutely, absolutely.
You mentioned, still obviously constantly doing your thing. You released the second solo record called Rainy Day Soul, which scored 3 top 10 adult contemporary hits and earned you the New Music Weekly 2004 Adult Contemporary Artist of the Year Award. And then the third solo record, Life and the Romantic, released in 2009, won the New Music Weekly Adult Contemporary Song of the Year for the track It's Her Wedding Day, which you
Yeah.
wrote about your daughter Brooklyn's marriage, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. 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 I wrote it about Brooklyn's marriage, and the video for the song shows Amanda's marriage. So I don't know how that happened or why that happened, but that's what happened.
Yes.
But so I'm just putting out a new song and video now. It's called "How'd You Get Here."
Congratulations. Right.
The video debuts March 1st. We're now like at February 18th or something like that, and the video debuts March 1st. It's an ode to the baby boomer generation, and it's a song off my current album, "Talking Ugly Truth, Telling Pretty Lies." And I think people of my my age realm will
Seasoned veteran level.
will relate to the story of that song.
Give us a little bit of an idea of it and what inspired you to write it.
Well, I mean, look, you get to a certain point in your life, and you go like, okay, you know. Um, what do I have before me? How do I still dream from here? Uh, you know, uh, there's obstacles and ailments and different things that you never really encountered before, that you never really prepared for, and all of a sudden you find yourself in this place, and so how do you deal with it? So it's like, how'd you get here? And the song opens with here's to the generation of black and white TV. Children of the middle class, free to be who you want to be. When daddy did the best he could and mama made the meals, paved the way for you to move in Beetle boots with Cuban heels. So that's kind of how it starts, and that's who it's sung to and about. So
I'm just letting that sink in. That's fantastic. That is really terrific. And like you said, it's part of Talking Ugly Truth and Telling Pretty Lies.
yes, yes, sir.
Mm, that's
Yes,
I
sir.
love that artwork too. That's in that photo we've got there. Tell
Yeah,
us
well, the
about that.
photo, let me tell
Yeah,
you about that. The photo is a painting that Donna did.
that
Um,
is. Oh, wow.
Donna was also a pretty amazing painter. And, when it came time for the artwork for this record, my manager suggested, what about using something from Donna, and so this is it's an iPhone photograph that I took of a portion of a segment of a Donna painting. And so and the artwork was actually the design was by Mike McLaughlin, who is a great designer, who happens to be my daughter Brooklyn's husband, who was shoe designer. He did with Kanye's sneakers for Louis Vuitton. He was the shoe designer for Xenia for a while, for Saint Laurent, and he's just an all around talented dude.
That is so cool. I wonder how many people knew that she did artwork like that. What were some other things that she loved to do away from the music industry? How did you guys sort of unplug and get away from it all and then come back out to deliver more juice for all of us? What are some things you would do to sort of reinvigorate and unplug, disconnect?
Yeah, Donna had a very busy mind, and her mind, she was super creative in so many ways. So I mean, she would design her outfits for stage, she would design the stage plot, she would design the layout of the show, she would design the living room furniture. The joke that I always told was, it's fortunate that I wasn't a blind man, because the furniture in my house moved so frequently that I would be bumping into things morning, noon, and night if I couldn't see. So that, so, but
Try to
that's
sit
kind
on
of
a
how.
chair and the chair is gone.
Yeah, yeah. And she was always somebody who had a notepad with her, so she was always drawing little pictures and designing little things. For me, it's more about. There was a period of time when I would horseback ride a lot. We had a ranch and I had horses, and I they had great. We were living out in Thousand Oaks, and they had great trails in the hills, and I would just get on my horse and go. Um, but always the one steadfast thing for me in my life, that is where I get away, is New York Knicks basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a New York Knicks fan since I'm a little boy, and that's the one thing that I look forward to, that distracts me from. And now I also have grandchildren. I have 9 grandchildren that I have to
What a blessing. Yeah.
navigate and keep relationships with, and develop relationships with, and be a presence in their life. I'm remarried. I live uh, half of my year I live in Italy. My wife's Italian. Her name is Francesca, and she's amazing as well. I mean, I get to have two amazing women uh, as wives in this life of mine. So, yeah,
That incredible. That's
I
amazing.
get to still play shows. I get to go on stage. I have a band in Italy made up of a percussionist, a cellist, and a bass player, and me on guitar, and we tour around Italy. And I get to tour. I've done a number of tours over the last few years with the Zombies. Which has been a great experience. Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone, great guys, a great band. So fun.
Is
So
there
if you see me
anybody?
play, you see
Yeah,
me playing around, come and see me.
absolutely. Next plane to Italy. He's going to pour the wine and we're going to have some biscotti. Um, is there anybody that you wish you could have worked with, collaborated with over the years, and the opportunity didn't happen for whatever reason, or they're no longer with us? Of the many people and the big names that we've talked about, are there any that you would still love to who were with us, or anybody that you wish you could
Well,
have?
I mean, there's lots of people. I mean, there are lots of people. I mean, I mean, we can start. We can start with Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Waits. We can go to Ed Sheeran. I'll go there. I'll go to Joni Mitchell. I mean, I'll go to Diane Warren. I mean, there are people all over the map that I would love to work with. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
And how are you guys doing out there with the recent fires? Did you get through it okay? You and everybody there?
I did. I was talking about it to a friend last night, and it was like a brief COVID moment again, to where the whole world, for me, for other people, it's an ongoing situation. I was very fortunate. I live in the hills. There was a fire nearby. It was quickly, quenched. So I had one night where I had to evacuate my house. But there are so many people who have lost everything. Palisades and Altadena. I have many friends who have lost everything, and it's it
It's
just flips your
heartbreaking.
life upside down,
Yeah.
and so that's an ongoing struggle for many people here. And I fortunately dodged, by the grace of God, dodged that bullet.
What inspires you to write this incredible music? Where do you pull your inspiration from? Are you an observer of life and things around you? Where does their juice come from, Bruce?
Yeah, I mean, it starts, from listening and feeling, staying engaged with people and life, and there's, you know, it's I've lived a lot of life. The experience of losing my wife. You know, it was the impetus for me to reignite this solo singer songwriter career. Um, I was happily, writing for Donna, with Donna, touring with her, writing for movies and whatever opportunities that came along. But it was at that point in losing her where I had a decision to make of how to move forward with my life. And that certainly gave me fuel and food to write about. I was able to write my way through that tragic moment of my life, and it helped me survive it. It helped me find a way to write things about a very hard topic of loss, and navigating that loss, and to find hope, to write about hope through that loss. So that was the instigator of this portion of my life, and then subsequently falling in love again as a guy of a certain age, and being a certain age, and falling in love and being excited. All those feelings that you get, when you fall in love with somebody, that excitement, that fever, that passion, uh, to get to write about that again. And so, and then there's the political climate, and there's America, and America, and what America is going through, and, the division that has gone on in this country. And I've been able to write about that, and I wrote a song called American Sunset, another song called Common Sense, and there's just so much fuel out there, when you're a songwriter, to stay engaged with life with. And my motto is keep living, keep writing. And so, I have songs about grandchildren that I could write about. There's just, there's fuel and food for writing everywhere.
Really is. Absolutely. The print that's behind you on the wall is really cool. What is that of?
Oh, that's the Olympics. When
Oh, wow.
I forgot uh, their names right now, but it's the Black Power moment. And
Very
so
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Very, very cool. Bruce, you're amazing. You really are. And thanks for being so,
Mm,
open and real and authentic. I don't think you know any other way. That's who you've always been. That's who you are through all the years. And
mm.
what would the
Thanks,
Bruce
Jim.
of now say to that 13-year-old boy back in Brooklyn?
Well, I would say that it's good that you were able and are continue to be able to listen to the spirit inside you, to follow the leading. I believe in the Spirit. I believe in the Holy Spirit, and so I've had enough strength, faith, and courage to be able to follow that. And even in situations where, people said, don't, that doesn't make sense, or whatever, I still had enough courage and faith to believe in that spirit and what it was saying to me, to walk that down that road. And that's kind of how I've always lived my life and continue to. And yeah.
Did your folks get a chance to see the successes along the way?
My parents, yes. Yeah.
I would imagine they were very
Yeah.
proud, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the song "Starting Over Again" was about their divorce. So so they you know I my father always would say to me about that song, "Bruce, I love the song, but why did you have to?" There's a line in the song where I say he's out scheming big deals with one of his friends, and he
Mm.
didn't like that line. He would always say to me, "Why couldn't you have said dreaming? I was
Right.
dreaming." And I'm like, "You're right, Dad. I'm sorry, and very much so that I think I inherited my ability to dream from my father,
Yeah.
and I inherited from my mother the ability to know that it's okay to dream and follow that dream, so,
What you've done
you
and
know.
continue to do, my friend. Look at that shot there. That's that's a cool one, I tell you. Good
That's pretty
stuff,
funny.
really, and congratulations, on the album and all the new music, and I want folks to know a great story about, that artwork too.
Yeah,
Just more of the touch of the wonderful Donna Summer.
yeah.
You can go to Bruce's website. It's a fabulous website. Learn more about what he's up to and the music and history and photos and all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, music that's being going to be streamed, right? Spotify and app everywhere. The new music
Yes,
too.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's where it
That's
is.
gonna be great. And that's a whole other world too, right? I mean, you've been doing this for decades. The music industry has changed. We've had a lot of people come through and they're like, "Oh, it's changed so much, and I'm trying to navigate it. I'm used to physical, like you were talking about earlier, opening up a Summer album, and there's the cover art and the photos and reading on it and everything, and it's downloads and streaming and all kinds of things. It's changed. Do you
Yeah.
like the way it's changed, or you're navigating?
Well, I've learned that the music business is always changing. It's changed from when, I didn't have anything to record on as a kid in Brooklyn, to going in the studio with Tommy, and it went from 45s to the album market and CDs. It's always changing. Cassettes. It's always changing. So you have to, I just say, okay, it's changing again. How do I navigate this change? I try not to be somebody who complains about the change. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast. Change is part of life. Things will always change. So I don't complain about change. I just try to roll with it, adapt to it, and try to keep writing good songs. So
Good stuff.
that doesn't change for me. That's
That's
always my challenge. Write a
that's
good
no
song.
matter what happens, that's what he's gonna be doing, and you've
Yeah.
done for decades for all of us. Bruce, really, truly, I know you don't say legend, but we will say it because in terms of the amount of work, the body of work, and all the art that you continue to, share with all of us and that you have in the archives for all of us, it really is extraordinary, and we thank you for that, and I hope you, come back and see us again, whether East Coast or if I'm on a TV shoot out on the West Coast. I'd love to say hi. You really are somebody quite special, and the relationship, of course, with the incomparable Donna Summer, your wife. You've got the beautiful family, and you've got your beautiful wife now, and the time in Italy. It's you've worked hard for everything. Didn't come easy. You've worked hard, and you stuck with it, and it continues to make a difference in all of our hearts and minds and souls. So congratulations on all the new music, and keep it coming for all of us. We're going to dig in the archives and dig out all the good stuff, the vintage stuff as well, my friend. And I really hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you on this conversation on the Jim Masters Show.
I actually really did, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. And I hope I didn't go on too long.
Have you ever met a New Yorker that can't talk? And here you've got two, two together. We should have had a pot of coffee on, right?
Right, and a coffee cake, and but now you've got some editing to do. So there you go.
Pizza and bagels. Have you found good pizza and bagels out there?
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to have some pizza right now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So,
Bruce. You're the best. Congratulations on everything. Spread the word about our show if you know other folks like to pop on, and really appreciate your generosity of time. And congratulations on everything. You are grateful and blessed.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jim. Good to know you. And anytime you need me for something, let me know. I'll be happy to.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bruce. You be well, okay?
Hey, bye-bye, Jim. Bye.
Cheers. Wow, Bruce Sudano here on the show. I know he doesn't say legendary, but we'll say it because when you really look at the body of work, it is extraordinary. So much music, working with so many incredible artists, and his own solo career as well. Here is his website, folks. Check out all the new music, and of course, Spotify and Apple and all the places, iTunes. You can get all the music that he's created, and he has collaborated with other fantastic talents on. And of course, Donna Summer's amazing collection is still there and still available. And her music makes you feel good. Wonderful stories, about Donna. Maybe answered some questions in your heart and mind about iconic Donna and about their love for one another and the music that they made together over the years. Really a phenomenal love story, and so much music. She worked hard for the money too. She sure did, Donna Summer. And again, the new music coming from the album, Talkin' Ugly Truth, Tellin' Pretty Lies. And that's coming out now, which is really, really exciting. My pleasure to have the incomparable music producer extraordinaire, singer, songwriter, Bruce Sudano joining us here. Multi-award-winning on many levels. And just a great guy, right? Terrific conversation. He's a straight shooter. He's a lot of fun. And just, this was a blast, really terrific conversation. If this is your first time watching the Jim Masters Show, it's good to have you with us. Come see us again. We say that to all of our guests. We keep the porch light on for them, but we also keep the porch light, or all of these lights around me, on for you too. If you enjoyed this episode here at JMS, well, then give this episode a thumbs up. There's a thumbs up on the YouTube channel. Click like and share this on your social media as well. And also right there at the bottom, see YouTube, Jim Masters TV. That is the YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and click that little notification bell icon. There's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button or somewhere in there on the page. Make sure you click that so you'll get alerts, notifications about all of our fantastic episodes here on the Jim Masters Show series. Great stuff. We took you down retro memory lane with some of the iconic music. Again, he's worked with Michael Jackson and Jermaine Jackson, Reba McEntire, Dolly Parton, countless others. Tommy James. Tommy James was a guest. Tommy James and the Shondells. He was a guest on the Jim Masters Show, and you can scroll back in the archives and you can see that incredible episode. I had the luxury of interviewing him before I started the Jim Masters Show series. Interviewed him on national television on PBS. And like Bruce said, Tommy James is a sweetheart of a guy. He's a wonderful guy. And we had so much fun with him in the television studio at PBS when he would come in. Matter of fact, I'll tell you a quick Tommy James story. I should have mentioned it to Bruce, but maybe I'll shoot him an email. there was there was a time when Tommy James was going to be on with us, and we were live on PBS, and we were playing a retro concert, and Tommy was coming into the studio as our special guest, and we're going to be interviewing my co-host and I at the time. We're going to be interviewing Tommy James. We're all excited, right? And he had been in the studio, subsequently several other times after, but this particular time, we're in the television studio, we're on live, and somebody smells. No, the television studio was a new building, a new state-of-the-art, several story television studio and radio studio for PBS, public television. And all of a sudden, somebody comes into the studio and whispers to one of the producers, "I think we smell some smoke." Now, outside, it was frigid. It was wintertime. And so we knew Tommy James was on his way for the live interview on television as his music, his concert special is playing on the station. So we actually had to evacuate the studio while we were on live. Everybody had to evacuate all floors of the building. And we had to go outside. And the fire department came. And they went inside the lobby, and what turned out to be was there was some sort of, I don't know, a light bulb or something was burning out, created some smoke on the lobby ceiling, but it was enough to set off the fire alarms throughout the entire building, the executive offices, the radio studios, the television studios. So we're now all outside in frigid weather because we had to evacuate the building because nobody knew. And it was a new building too. Nobody knew what was happening. And who makes a turn in a beautiful limousine pulling up into the parking lot? Tommy James, pulling up for his, his studio appearance with all of us. Well, everybody had to go up to the limousine to let him know that, because he thought, which would make sense, but he thought we were all outside standing in front of the building, many of us without jackets on because we had to get out of the building quick. He thought that this was a grand welcome for him. He's pulling up in the limo. Of course, he's not driving the limo, of course. He goes out of the back, and there he is. He's like, "Hey." And everybody's, "Hey, Tommy." He thought that it was, his greeting, that everybody in the building was out there in that lot to welcome him. We would have done that, of course, in the studio in the normal professional way, but we had to explain that there was a little bit of a situation because he did see the fire truck and the crew and all sort of taking apart the lobby ceiling a little bit there. And it was fantastic. And you know what he did? He saw some people that were really freezing, and he had them go in the limo with him because it was heated and it was wintertime. And they got to go into the limo with him. And we didn't go in the limo only because we were going to eventually be in the studio because we were cleared and we all went back into the studio. We got the green light from the fire department. We were able to go, do what we had to do. The concert went back on, and the interviews started, and everything went back to normal. At that time, the television studio, the station, if you turned on the station, it went black because there was no programming to put on in its place. I think maybe a station identification slide was up or something, but that was it. And then we went back to it. But there were some volunteers that were in the studio answering phones and taking PBS pledges at the time. So we had them go in with Tommy because it was such a treat for them because we were going to be in the studio talking with him anyway. But there's a quick Tommy James story. And he was hilarious through the whole evening, talking about what had happened. He pulls up in the limo. The entire building is out in the parking lot. He thought, it was a big grand greeting for him. And we were out in the parking lot because we were chased out of the building because of the fire alarms going off. And he just is a great guy. He rolled with it. He's funny. He's professional. He's a mega talent. He should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like Bruce said. I do agree with that. So hopefully one day, he will get into that monumental place. He belongs in that incredible iconic building there in Cleveland. So, gang, we love having you here. Thanks for stopping by the Jim Masters Show. We always have a good time with our free-flowing conversations. And one more time, we really do thank Bruce for joining us. He is a class act. He's a stellar guy. He's a cool guy. And yeah, he was married to Donna Summer, the legendary Donna Summer. And what I loved about what he said in the beginning when I was saying that he is a legend, I'm not a legend. And, and he was really shining it, the legendary status on Donna. That's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? He's an iconic person in the music industry in terms of the body of work and his passion and the continuation of all this music. But the way he said Donna was the real legend and other people he worked with and continues to work with. Such a beautiful thing to say. And that's the kind of guy he is. He is humble. He does shine the light on others as opposed to himself. And that's kind of refreshing. You don't always get that in these industries. And I love people that are like that. So great conversation. Again, you can go to his website, brucesudano.com. All that new music we talked about, the new album, the new songs, and so much more. You can check it all out. You can also find me and us on Twitter, or now X, Instagram, and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. And all these episodes are also on our YouTube channel as well, Jim Masters TV. So throw some love and light our way. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell the world about our series. We love when you do that, and we really appreciate you doing that as well. So with that said, this is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, come see us again. We have so many incredible guests sort of in the idle position, waiting to come on, a long list of people, and I'm really grateful for that. And we have all of our episodes archived as well. So if you ever miss anything or you join us late in the game, no worries. You can see everything archived on that YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Don't forget to love one another. Don't forget to take care of one another, and do the very same for yourself. I try to remember to say that after every show. And thanks for spending time with us. You are valued and very appreciated. Whether you've been with us since day one, joined us maybe 2-3 years ago, or you just joined us with this episode right now, come back and see us. We welcome you to be a part of the fun here at Lovity Hall, as we call it, and the Jim Masters Show. So for all of us here, this is Jim Masters. Take care, be well. See us on the next episode. Be right here waiting for you. Take care and cheers.